a local junk removal business. And, as a listing agent, I tend to use junk removal companies quite a bit, and also to help out my clients. Also, they bailed me out last minute when there's a problem with a home not being emptied properly. And also, as a homeowner, I think it's good to know this service is out there. So we'll start with Connor from Junk Hero. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your business, Connor?
Yeah, so I recently decided to go forward in this journey of starting this business because it was something that isn't as sexy as a lot of people think, but it's something that provides really good value for realtors, homeowners, real estate investors, just like having that peace of mind of someone that can be there to help remove junk that wasn't planned or was planned
Well,
because there's
as a homeowner or even someone listing their home, sometimes it gets overwhelming and you don't know what to do with all that junk you have.
yeah, so we take pride in being able to help people in that way.
Yeah, and I've been in this situation myself, being a homeowner, where I did have a lot of items that needed to be removed, and I was just like, this is too much work. I'm going to damage my house. Called the junk removal company. It was less money than I thought, and it worked out really, really well. And since I've got into the real estate business, I do recommend junk removal companies for especially like my last listing was owners that have lived there for 30 years, and they needed help removing items from their home. A lot of it was just being junked. It wasn't being taken with them or given away. But
Yeah.
so that leads to my first question is, as a junk removal company, what are you able to remove and what items might you not be able to remove?
Yeah, we like to say we remove pretty much everything except biohazardous material. Anything
With it,
from a piano to your tethered office chair that you've been meaning to get rid of, but just haven't had the chance to do it. Uh,
anything,
it's all the way to full property cleanouts, hoarder houses, flippers we work with, um,
yeah.
and homeowners in general.
Yeah, no, now when you say biohazards, what you're talking like household chemicals like ammonia, bleach, paint
Uh,
stricker, or
those we could take, but just like medical waste. I think you.
medical waste? Okay. Oh, okay. So you'll actually remove chemicals and stuff then.
Yep, yeah, we could remove oil, paint. Yeah, pretty much any sort of
Okay.
chemical.
And that leads to my next question, which is, can you handle really heavy items like a piano or a fridge, which I think you already answered, which was you'd remove a piano. So you
Yes.
can pretty much handle almost anything.
Yeah, no job is too big or too small. We have all the necessary resources to get your job done the way
That's
you want it.
that's great. That's great. Now, so the big question is, how much does junk removal cost? How much do you charge, or how do you charge? Do you charge by weight, by items, or does it vary?
We charge, but based on how much you take up in the truck.
Okay.
So our price per cubic yard, which we measure in, is about $55 per cubic yard.
Okay.
Trucks can hold 10 to 12, depending on what the item is.
Okay.
So
And then
that
if
kind
you
of,
have more than that, you come back and pick up the rest of the items.
yeah, pretty much just we calculate and estimate based on what the items are, the rate on.
Okay. So, like, what about a single item like a refrigerator? Would you just pick up one refrigerator?
Yep, yep. We take refrigerators. Our single item removal is $100. So
Okay.
whatever we take it.
Yeah,
Um,
because isn't a refrigerator around 1 cubic yard or so, a little bit more?
a little bit more. It's about
A little bit more. Okay.
2.5.
So you have a minimum fee of $100 on a single item.
Correct.
Okay, super. That's good to know. And so if you filled up a whole truck, which you said is 10 to 12 yards, that would be about $600.
Yeah, that's generally uh, the price for a full truck.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And so 10 to 12 cubic yards is that's quite a bit. And I would imagine that would cover a lot of situations.
It does. Yes. Like
Okay.
today, we're working with someone who is clearing out his house. He was a landlord, and the tenants just left
A
whole bunch
mess.
of just a mess. And yeah, we're helping him clean out his house so that he can resell the house and not have to deal with the junk anymore.
Okay. That kind of leads to the next question is, so you show up at something like that, the items don't need to be sitting on the curb for you. You'll actually remove them from the house.
Yep, we do that. And a big part of our business is demolition as well. So we actually go in and take out the drywall, take out those 50-year-old cabinets that just don't shut right anymore.
So they can just be left on the wall and you'll take them right out.
Yep. It's an
Excellent.
additional fee for the labor, but yeah, we're all for going through the whole process of from start to finish.
Okay. So I know you and I were talking. I know a big thing I run into is above ground swimming pools, where, they're in disrepair. They're not in the greatest shape, and buyers will request the seller remove them before closing. So that's something that you could do. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I know from my experience, you junk removal guys have helped me out in very tense situations that need to be done quickly, but you guys can react pretty quickly, can't you? What's your average time to get to a house?
We like to do a next day service as much as possible. And then sometimes our clients aren't ready yet. So we do schedule out a week or so in advance, just so that they have peace of mind that someone's coming.
Well, I know as a real estate agent, occasionally, I'll either be working with a buyer or a seller and the house isn't cleaned out by closing time. And, I'll assess the situation. And I know I've called you guys and say, I need you here in the next couple hours. And usually I can find someone to do it. Very accommodating. Yeah. So that's an excellent service to offer. Now, what do they need to prepare before you arrive? Obviously, they need to be able to get to where you need to go, correct?
Right. Yeah. So if the homeowner is not home, we like to just make sure that they've isolated the items and very clear on what needs to go. And the last thing we want is to take an item that has not been wanted to be removed. So we just make sure that we have clear communication with the clients. So just clear communication.
So another question I had actually later down the list here, which you sort of answered, but we'll go into it a little bit in depth, is does the owner need to be home? Somehow, as long as you can get to the items, arrangements can be made.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had customers share their garage codes with us. So stuff that's in the garage when they're
at work or something
is taken care of. So it's really trying to make it as convenient as possible.
Okay. So one of the big things that people are concerned with these days is being green, not wasting things. What do you do with the junk? Do you just throw it in a landfill, or is there a way where you try to find, repurpose the items?
Yeah. If they're in a really good condition, the Salvation Army takes most of our items.
Okay.
If they have some what's the word? Just they're not as great. We try to donate.
Rough. Yeah.
Rough shape.
Well used.
Yeah. We do have a partner with a furniture restoration company, so some furniture goes there. And otherwise, if it's just wood, we do throw it in the landfill if that's our last resort.
Say like a refrigerator, a washer or dryer, those types of things. What happens to those?
So with refrigerators, and washer dryers, we recycle the metal. We take them to metal yards, and they take care of draining the freon from the refrigerators, humidifiers. And then it's recycled to make new metal materials.
So metal, you're pretty much scrapping if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And say you do have materials like paint or bleach or ammonia or paint strip, or what happens to those items?
Our local transfer stations usually have the ability to take those items. So I live in Weymouth. So I actually, when I do have a customer that needs that taken away, I take it to the Weymouth DPW.
Okay. And then they dispose of it properly.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's great. I think that's a big concern of a lot of people is, trying not to waste, not trying to add to the environment. But unfortunately, we all have junk we need to get rid of, and I guess handling it responsibly, the company handling it and then handling it responsibly is important to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Now, say you are cleaning up after, like, maybe you demolished a kitchen, removed all the items. Do you actually clean up on your way out, or do you leave a mess for the homeowner?
Oh, we always clean up. We have a broom in every truck we have, so we make sure to, make it better than when we came. So
Okay,
that's important
good.
for us.
I know I've had contractors at my house, and
Yeah,
it's kind of left. The last one I had was an electrician, and there was remnants of his work in every room that he worked in, and it was just kind of, it was a matter of just sweeping and brushing, and sometimes you kick things, they go under a table. So that's good to know that you clean up what the mess that you created.
yeah.
What about reaching junk from hard to remove places, say like a crawl space or maybe a basement that, just has a bulkhead, or say an attic with limited access? Are you able to remove items from there?
We are. Yeah, I like to say that I'm kind of thin, so I can move into tight spaces pretty easily.
Okay.
It's just or being tall is kind of the downfall of that. But
Okay.
we still make it
You'll
work.
go into those, the biggest thing is like crawl spaces and things like that. Sometimes you store stuff in there that you haven't used for 20 years. And now, say you show up at a job, you've talked on the phone, and you've kind of given a rough estimate. Before you start the work, do you assess everything and give a final price?
That's exactly how it's done. We like to give quotes on the phone by text as much as possible. You just take a picture of your item, and we're able to give a quote that way. If it's like very, if there's a lot of material, then we do go on site to make sure that we're quoting properly.
Okay.
Depends on the situation.
So by the time you start removing the junk, there should be no miscommunication about price.
Correct.
I just want to highlight maybe the difference of hiring a junk removal company and getting a dumpster. Obviously, from where I sit, you do the bulk of the heavy lifting as a junk removal company versus a dumpster. But are there any other considerations?
I would say time as well.
Sure.
We're in and out with our own vehicles, so we're nimble in that way. We can get in, get out, and get the job done without having to wait for the dumpster removal company to come.
And again, like I said, lots of times, it's the time, the heavy lifting, and you're kind of do it all. You're like a traveling dumpster, but you actually bring the stuff to the dumpster to throw out. I know you're talking about time. I know I have a mover in my arsenal who I've used personally many times just because I've always enjoyed working with them. They come with a crew of 5 guys. They literally can pack a whole house in about 2 to 2.5 hours. They move so fast because they know that, they look at a couch and they know how to fit it right through the door without juggling it around. And I almost feel violated when they show up. They're so quick. And, obviously you have experience in, okay, this is how I need to remove this couch, rather than breaking your back trying to work it through a series of doors that, if you're not experienced, it's going to take time, and it's going to probably take a couple tries.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, that's basically the questions I had for you today. So I guess one final question is, we talked about moving. We talked about a homeowner, wanting to remove junk. But what are some of the other reasons people call you to do junk removal? You talked about a landlord wanting to empty out a property. Someone maybe doing some remodeling. You could do that, but if anything that I'm missing?
Those are the big ones, but there's also homeowners that I just want a single item out and they just don't want to take the time to go to the dump, so they call us.
Yeah. Well, I know as I get older, our deck is pretty high, and I wanted to put a grill out on the street. Usually metal scrappers will take it when you leave it out on the street, but I came close to calling someone to remove it just because I had to go down a long flight of stairs with, my girlfriend. I'm just like, I don't want either of us to get hurt. And, it's pretty short money, like you said, to have it removed. I
Yeah.
did end up getting it to the street, but I was close to calling someone. So I think, when we talk about junk removal, it's the convenience. It's actually cost effective when you look at your time. Say you're trying to make 10 junk runs to the dump to remove items. Not only do you have to pack your car, your truck, or your SUV, you got to get it out of the house. You got to pack it into the vehicle. Then you got to make the runs to the dump. And, a junk removal company is definitely a way to go. And it's something to check out if you have a big removal project. You have anything to add to that?
Just that we'd like to make things convenient for our customers. And that's always our big goal.
One thing we didn't cover, you said you're in Weymouth. What area do you cover?
We cover everywhere from the South Shore all the way down to Plymouth, all the way around Boston and those surrounding towns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you. Actually, one more question. Sorry. When you're running a junk removal company, what are some of the questions you should ask?
The customer? What
should the customer ask a junk removal company to make sure they're hiring someone who will properly get rid of the items, not dump them in the woods, be accurate in their quoting and things like that so they don't end up, let's face it, every industry has those companies in the industry that, don't treat customers properly. But what are some of the questions a homeowner could ask to avoid some of those issues?
Yeah, just asking where it goes. We try to be as honest as possible with where we take the items and price. We're open to what they are expecting to pay, and we have that conversation about what the actual price is, because sometimes people don't know because I've never used a junk removal company.
Now, are you insured and bonded or just insured?
We're fully insured with general liability. So we can rest easy knowing that we have ourselves covered.
Okay. And I suppose people can find you on Google and they can Google junk removal in Weymouth, or they can Google your company name. Do you have some reviews on that website?
We have reviews on our Google page.
Okay, excellent.
Which is also on our website. But if you type in Junk Hero, that we come up on number 1 on Google.
Okay.
And we're working to get better on Google. All that marketing stuff is all part of the learning curve.
Okay, excellent. So we'll wrap this up here. I want to thank you for being here. Very informative, and I just want to make people aware that if you have a big task in front of you of cleaning out your home, there is help available, and it's probably more cost effective than you think.
Absolutely.